as we get later in the day, it's always, a bit sleepy time, but I'm so glad that we're here for Meredith, which I know she brings some energy to talk about her great writing and ideas and creativity, and really excited for Meredith to share.
I'm doing well. Today we're going to treat a little bit like an author reading at a book signing or a plug where I'm going to read a few of my pieces from several different genres that I've done over my time here at Cornerstone University. And then if there's questions at the end, we can go into that, but we'll just go straight through them and see how it goes. But thank you for coming to Eclectic. I chose eclectic because it's a word that reflects being comprised of many sources, deriving from many different inspirations, and that's kind of what I hope to do through my collection, is show all of these different genres and different inspirations that have attracted me and how I presented them in my work. So, without further ado, thank you and welcome. I'm going to be starting with a poetry piece that I wrote this spring. I never was really into poetry much before because I don't think I truly understood it. But this semester, thanks to the wonderful Mabel Buchanan Palmer, I have discovered such a deep love for it, and I'd like to read a poem that I've entitled The Ship of Theseus. The planks of a waterlogged vessel at sea are eaten and damaged by years of the surf. Both are the ship that Theseus sailed. Neither was Theseus' vessel at birth. When sallow planks tore from the winds of a storm, she welted the cracks with misguided muse. Both are the ship that Theseus sailed, but neither is one that Theseus used. As the bow hits the rocks and the ship's frame of smoke compensate for the loss just to keep it afloat, substitutes will ensure she outlives what fate wrote. Both are the ship that Theseus sailed, neither ship is Theseus' boat. Her smile, her curtsy, her flickering eyes, each bolstered replacement completes her disguise. Constructed facades will conceal her demise. The ship of Theseus finally dies. Which one is authentic? Which ship is most true? With each plank replaced, what is left to construe? What separates stapled imposter from truth? When it all looks the same, who can resurrect youth? Historians ponder what she never knew. Theseus' ship is a dead man's haiku. Thank you. Next, I'm going to be sharing a work from a novelette that I wrote this spring called A Less Commonwealth. This is a dystopian fantasy-esque piece inspired by Celtic mythology. I'm just going to be reading from pages for that, and hopefully you like it. I've had a really fun time researching for this and just being able to dive into the world building, so I hope you enjoy it. A Less Common Wealth. The hills surrounding the famed Loch Laren were green and vast. Gray-blue skies blurred with a horizon of rolling hills and glistening waters as Saoirse sat against the grass far up the west hillside and ran her fingers through the lush blades beneath her. The wind blew gently as she studied the calm quiet of the loch. Far below, at the base of the hill, calm and still against the shore, stood the watchtower, the only building in the surrounding landscape. It looked strange against this empty expanse, a pillar of humanity in an otherwise barren landscape, as if it wasn't supposed to be there. It was. Even from this height, Saoirse could see the imposing white stone standing at the edge of the rushes further down the shore. It stood taller than she did, and when her forefathers first settled along the loch, they carved ancient runes into its surface, knowing that its inscription would stand for ages to come. The stone was etched with the image of the loch's true inhabitant and instructions for how to appease it. The loch wasn't first inhabited by the Larens. Something had dwelt there long before they arrived. The cow. Instinctively, Saoirse reached for the chain around her neck. She pulled the end of a pocket watch out from under the heavy navy homespun fabric of her dress and absently-minded rubbed the watch's surface. How many times had her father checked its face as he strolled around the balcony of the watchtower, lantern raised to the sky as he squinted against the darkness. A gust of wind rustled her hair, whistling with an energy that felt both calm and wild. The loch lay a 10-minute climb below her, and yet she could almost feel the water shifting, as if something deep in its darkness knew something was approaching, something that should be kept out. Saoirse hugged her arms to her chest and looked over her shoulder. A man strode down the western slope of the foothills surrounding the loch. He wore the uniform of the Commonwealth, a long cape of brilliant red pinned at his right shoulder with a large sword brooch. Her father had spoken of men like him, but she'd never crossed paths with one. His red and black tartan clashed with the muted shades of the landscape. His high-collared black jacket gleamed with silver buttons, and his black boots stretched nearly to his knees. Saoirse scrambled to her feet. The ring of keys attached to her belt rattled unnervingly. The familiar sound was usually comforting, but in front of such an intimidating figure, it felt jarring, out of place. As he drew closer, she saw his face more clearly. His raven hair fell to his shoulders, though the long journey had turned it windswept and wild. Twisted eyebrows framed his stern face, and a dark, clean beard covered his chin and cheekbones. She should have walked to meet him, but her feet rooted themselves to the turf. Closing the final pieces between them, the man tugged on the sleeves of his black leather gloves, though they already seemed perfectly in place. Saoirse Laird, daughter? It wasn't a question. She eyed him dubiously. Aye. He brought an arm across his chest and offered her a stiff bow. My name is Galgulf. The Commonwealth requires your assistance in a duty concerning the entire Conurbation. Saoirse raised her chin. Lochlear is not part of the Conurbation, she said steadily. Not yet. You are mistaken. Ice flooded Saoirse's veins, and she forced the cold into her voice. This is protected land. Lochlear is a living shrine to the magic of the lochs. Then we agree that these lands ought to be protected. If you want operations to continue without interference, perhaps we can strike a deal. Saoirse stiffened. She'd never traveled beyond the loch, but she knew enough about the Conurbation to shudder. It wasn't hard to picture the vast expanse of industrial kingdom that engulfed the lochs and plains to the south. The thought of the Commonwealth plowing into Lochlear, covering the emerald grass in great and grey. There was a reason Kelpies feared metal. It came with the death of anything in life. Saoirse crossed her arms. What do you want? What is your occupation, my daughter? Galgulf countered. If you know my name, you know my occupation. Her voice was brittle. Since the days of old, the lands have guarded the shores from the Kelpie. Once again, her hands brushed the ring of keys at her waist. There are no Kelpies. Then why does my job exist? Galgulf's dark eyes narrowed so that enemies of the state can conveniently disappear. He cleared his throat. I'm asking for your cooperation in a matter of top security. We've received word that a trader will be visiting these shores in a day's time. No doubt he is seeking sanctuary that he claims to be conducting research on. Galgulf's face contorted. Wisps. Wisps? Supposedly. We suspect he is truly regrouping before raising a band of fugitives to overthrow the Commonwealth. The Wisps are merely his cover. This is a man of danger, not only to the Commonwealth's leadership, but to the entire Conurbation. He must be eliminated. You want me to kill him? No. Galgulf's voice dripped with patronizing amusement. You can let the Kelpie do it. Saoirse held his gaze unswervingly. You want him to be killed by the very thing you don't believe in. I don't need to believe in it. The people will. Anyone who supports this man will recant if they hear he was dragged to a watery grave. And should anyone ask questions or accuse you, we'll make sure you go free. Her jaw dropped. You think all the disappearances, you think we're behind them? I don't care how you do it, as long as he never returns. You know that my job is to rescue people, to save them? Her face flamed. You know my name is Saoirse. You're asking the wrong woman. I don't care what your name is. gestured indifferently at the carved stone. If it happens to drown him, just don't save him. Susha swallowed. That goes against everything my father stood for. Galgoth stepped closer. His steel breath grazed her ear as he whispered, "And if you fail, I'll make sure you join him." Chills ran down her spine. She wanted to shrink back, but she forced herself to stand tall. Kill the man, or I will drown you in this miserable life myself. Do you understand? Susha's heart skipped a beat. Before she could respond, Galgoth turned on his heel and stalked back up the steep slope of the foothill. Seeing his bloody figure retreat broke her from her shock. "What is his name?" Susha called after him. Galgoth turned over his shoulder. His fierce eyes locked on hers. Craven Moxblade. Last I'm going to be focusing on a creative nonfiction piece that I wrote my sophomore year of college with the lovely and esteemed Cynthia Beach. I workshopped it a little bit before, but I mostly kept this intact. It's been mostly untouched since my sophomore year. And it just kind of brings with true authenticity and vulnerability as I tell a story of a month that was really pivotal to me in my life from the perspective of my 17-year-old self. So I'm going to start halfway through the piece and read through to the end. It's called June 2021. I enter the valley where the Little Fox Farm lies at the base of green enclosing hills. It's that dark time in June when the sky puts up its final fight, trying to dispel the sun and warmth it knows it's coming, with spiteful drizzles and 50-degree fogs. The steep driveway winds down to a hollow completely covered in tall grasses and wildflowers. What Aaron calls a pole barn stands about halfway down the slope, but it's too elegant to be one, fashioned from only white metal siding, laced with black lanterns and adored with a modern chic edge that only succeeds at looking expensive. Flower boxes of shade plants line the barn's northern wall, and terraces for sun plants wave further down the hill to the south. I drive past the tiers of sun plants as the driveway curves around the greenhouse and rows of sunflowers, down into the trees where we shovel mulch down into the trees where we shovel burlap sacks of mulch from across dusty piles, past the sandy ditch carved into the side of the hill, and back behind the farm, where I park my black BMW beside a true pole barn that still manages to look sophisticated. I hike the long way up the dusty driveway until the trees thin and gravel crunches under my feet and I'm back at the farm customer seat. I pass the old green truck that now serves as a vintage flower planter and approach the barn. Hanging baskets dangle from the white porch and I reach up to finger a red fuzzy plant we call foxtails as I walk past. I open the door and enter our checkout area, just a table and a cash register where my manager Aaron is tracking inventory with rows of colorful dot stickers. Hey, I sigh as I set down my hibiscus colored hydro flask and mini backpack on a pile of planters in the back corner. What's the agenda for today? She doesn't look up as she scans the list of new plants that just arrived. Well, the rain definitely helps, so there's not much to water up top. Mainly focus on the greenhouse, see if you can tidy up in there. Will do. The barn's garage door is open, and I walk out past the patio stones, rocking chairs, and bikinis a day from flowering. I trudge down the driveway with my hands in my pockets. Today's gonna be slow. I want shots for flowers in the rain. And my watering duties, which normally take at least 2 hours, have all been eliminated. What I'll actually do today, I don't know. I don't. Just 8 hours of empty time to slowly, painfully fill up. At least I won't need sunscreen. The air is heavy with mist. It settles over the valley like a thick blanket. Not quite rain, but so wet it hangs instead of drizzles. I reach the greenhouse and step inside. It's warmer here, and I'm glad. Between the cold and the rain, I hardly feel like crying, and it doesn't help the weight of everything else already pressing down on me. Stupid. I shake the thoughts away. The day doesn't have to be miserable if I don't want it to be. This is my day, and I can make it a good one. The nice thing about no customers is no rules. I turn my phone volume up to full blast and fill the empty air with Natalie McMaster's fiddle music. It's beautiful, energetic, brewing with a mixed history of Irish and Canadian tradition that makes me tap my feet as I hold down the handle of the hose till I finally move myself silly on the floor, covered with tarps all across the greenhouse, spinning my way over dead flower heads and dried leaves, and laughing out loud. I'm so tired of depression. I choose dancing. I choose dancing today. Her album plays, rejuvenating me through The Chase and the Whistler of Roslia. I finish watering the flowers, covering the carts and tables and hanging baskets, and set about consolidating the various plants scattered across the tables in the southwest corner. Rainy days are good for organizing, and if nothing else, it fills the time. These ones are all tomato plants, and I make short work of bringing them from the various scattered locations to a stack of plant trays we always keep lying around. They're flimsy, black little things, so thin and crinkled and handled too roughly. I pick each tomato plant up by the pot and dump them into a tray in the slots before pirouetting back for more. In 20 minutes, they're all organized into 3 full planter trays. There. No more chaos, no more confusion, just nice, neat rows. That's when Erin walks down to the greenhouse. I expect her to say, "It looks nice in here. Good job with the watering. I see you swept the floor." And maybe she does. But all I remember is her stopping where I stand by the rows of tomato plants. For a moment, she says nothing, then, "Honey." She stares at them, and an agonizing silence takes as she collects her words. She points at the tomato plants. "These are all different varieties. Cherry, grape, heirloom, and you put them all together." This was the time for me to say, "You're right. Sorry. I put the tomatoes in the wrong spot." Instead, I just stared at her, speechless as silent tears well in my eyes. 17 years old, and crying in front of my employer like a second grader who's just dropped their ice cream. I don't know how to fix it. I can't fix it. I can't tell them apart, and I don't have tomatoes yet, just frilly little green leaves that all look the same. And there's no way of unsorting them, no way of draining the caramel syrup after stirring it into the coffee, and there's nothing to be done. She sees my tears and exclaims, "Oh, honey, it's just tomatoes." But it's not tomatoes. It's a white, immaculate bedroom when my closet door has been missing a handle for 3 years. And parents who never go on cruises to Belize, in Mexico, in the Bahamas, or smile for pictures, or go out for dinner at Red Ginger, or sit on the couch late at night watching movies because my parents are doing who knows what at a marriage intervention, and I tell her that, and she says, "Take a walk." "What?" I sniff. She smiles. "Take a walk. Why do you think we have all these beautiful flowers?" "But it's okay," she reassures me. She looks like she wants to hug me, but she just says, "Take a walk." So I do. And drop the hose in a messy coil and crunch, crunch, crunch my way down the gravel driveway, around the curve into the trees and past the mulch piles to the ditch. It's carved right into the hill like an alien saucer landed and tore the ground away in a perfect circle, leaving exposed layers of packed sand. My shoes sink as the soil shifts, and I plod across the middle of the circle to the northern bank and sit back against the cool sand. Stray roots poke out the ground on either side of me, but I just hug my chest, hug my knees, and look at layer upon layer of sand. It's quiet. Erin isn't driving the mule, no cars crunch in the driveway, so the only sound is the stillness of fog and the occasional shift of leaves in the trees. I close my eyes. Or maybe I don't. All I know is that I sit there until the tears stop and there's nothing left. Maybe I never really felt anything at all. I'm too empty to really tell, but it's quiet and safe. And a spicy scent of pine mulch wafts over from its piles. What a beautiful place to heal. The thought comes back, just like it did my first day at the farm, watering lavender and Russian sage on the sunny side. It echoes Aaron's sentiments, the restorative power of nature. Why do you think we have flowers? Gradually my reading slows, and I bask in the silence, absorbing the stillness of the woods. Tomorrow, my parents will return. They'll walk in quietly and thank our friends for letting us stay and carry our bags to the car, and we won't notice how quiet they really were, because everyone's just happy that they're gone. Tomorrow they'll let me go to my friend's house. They'll let me go to her graduation party and make plans with her to see whatever movie it was we wanted to see. Tomorrow I will drive home to find my sister quiet and hear them say the words that we need to talk. She already knows, so she passes me on the stairs. An hour later, I will silently drive her into town to get starters, so we don't have to witness my 8-year-old brother when he hears the news. 2 years ago, he clung to my dad's legs when my parents separated the first time, and I don't need a reenactment to hear his screams again. Tomorrow, the world will unravel. But today, I rise from where I sit in the sand. I dry my tears and dust off my jeans. I walk back to the greenhouse and surround myself with dahlias and fuchsia and fiddle music. What a beautiful place to heal. We'll see. This couldn't be possible without the amazing instructors and professors that I have had throughout my high school years, my middle school years, and especially here at Cornerstone. I just want to really take a moment to thank Professor Meredith and Professor Michael Pasquale, and some of Warren today, like Michael and Jason Stevens, Cynthia Leach, and Don Cookie. I'd also like to thank a really good friend of mine. Her name is Catherine Munster-Messina. Her birthday was yesterday. She's the one who first believed in me. At 7th grade orientation, she sat me and said, I think you're going to be ready. She told me I needed to start a blog. At 14 years old, I was scrolling through Poets and Writers database to find literary agents and write inquiry letters about this novel idea that I had. Still hasn't hit the shelves yet, but when it does, it's going to be in her name. She went home to be with the Lord nearly 2 years ago. But she is the reason I'm here today, and I dedicate this performance to her. So, this is for you. We have time for questions, so floor is your guys'. Thank you so much for being attentive and supportive listeners. There's no power of words except for the one I received. So, thank you. That's Steve's giving.
You have 2 minutes if there's any questions.
So Meredith, so again, we all appreciate you as well, and just I think in some ways we're kind of speechless because it's such a good just work of words and story, and so I just want you to know your work is seen and appreciated. So.
That's good. It's supposed to make people feel things, so that means I'm doing my job.
Could you talk a little bit about how your dad inspires you at all?